Welcome to another episode of the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nonsense. My name is Oscar Puente, also known as Footy from Afar, and with me is my co-host, super producer, Ian Stimson. Ian, you know what I'm about to ask.
I don't, because it could go a number of ways, but go on.
Oh, well, fish talk. Come on.
It was either fish or posh.
Yeah.
Both end with an SH.
Well, I figure you don't want to talk about posh.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do them in turn. What do you want to know about the fish? The fish are pretty much established now, Oscar. There's going to be no change for about 5 years, so you can keep checking in all you want. But, I've got the fish.
Have you named them?
Well, it's quite hard to name a lot of them because they're shoaling fish, a lot of them, so they all look similar.
Racist. Fishist.
Brilliant. I've got 4 yo-yo loaches. You'd like yo-yo loaches. They're busy. They're exciting. They're brightly sort of striped. But one of them is like greyed out. He's faded. So we call him Grey. That is inherently racist. It feels like after you watch
a little bit. Yeah. Well, whatever. You know.
Yeah. And then. I don't know, what else have we got? Oh, we've got one Bristlenose Catfish, which we're not sure if it's a male or a female. We're calling it Mr. Bristlenose at the minute. It's unimaginative, I know. Even if it's a female, Kelly's decided it's still Mr. Bristleface or Mr. Bristlenose. I can't remember now.
Fair enough. I believe the non-gendered one is just MX, so you just call him Mix.
Is that how you pronounce it as well, Mix?
I have no idea if that's how it's pronounced.
Okay, fine. Okay. I quite like that as well. It's got a sound connotation as well. So
yeah, there you go. True.
Yeah. I'll go Mix Bristleface, which is
now know what Kelly says to that.
It's now my DJ name.
There you go.
And then the only other one that's identifiable is a male of. I've got 3 fish, 2 females, 1 male, and you can tell the male because they're more brightly coloured. Because in nature, guys, it's the male who has to wear makeup and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, all the crazy looking birds are always the male birds.
Exactly, and
they have to like peacocks. Female peacocks, very boring.
Yeah, really dull, very brown, dull.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, lesson there to be had. But for some reason, Finley's called that one because it's the identifiable one. He's called it Milo. I think he watched The Mask. That's the dog from The Mask, isn't it? And
yes, it is. What a strange thing for your child to be referencing.
I don't know. I think he just decided that was what he was going to call that.
Bit weird.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that's as much fish talk as I can handle, to be honest. It is getting a little tedious.
3 minutes more than Chuck can handle.
Yeah, exactly. Just for the sake of keeping people informed, Posh, you want to give us a little quick update on the sadness at Posh Island?
Yeah, cool. Let me just quickly check the percentages. 100%. We're 100% to get relegated now. Yeah.
It's official, right?
Yeah, it's official now. I mean, I don't know what to say about it, really, because in a way, Kelly summed it up when she went, "Aren't you just excited to next year see them win again?" And I was like, yeah, a little bit.
That's true. So I guess this could lead to a good discussion, actually, of the nature of fandom. Do you prefer, having just had 2 seasons back to back, a more successful, let's say, season at a lower division, or do you like being able to say, "Oh, we're playing Stoke on Wednesday," or the shining lights? It's not quite the Premier League, so it's not.
Yeah. But for our level, yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me about that. What's that like?
So, absolutely honestly, send me back to League One.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
No, just because I had and it is now revealed to be a delusion that we would survive in the Championship, and that was exposed quite quickly. I mean, there were a lot of, I don't know, obviously I linked to you, and I don't know if you actually read it or just decided this is funny, Peterborough getting a write-up in the Athletic.
The latter,
yeah,
so fill us in.
I assume so, that's absolutely
I love
fine.
you, Ian, but I'm not reading an article about Peterborough.
Of course not.
It's just not happening.
Not. I understand that entirely. But the Athletic did a write-up of Peterborough and the disappointment of our Championship season, and it was bad because there were lots of injuries, and that is genuinely a thing that happened.
Sure.
But there was also players who, and there's no other way to say this, and I say this as an overweight individual myself, got fucking fat. Like they just decided that the off season was party time, which as indeed did I, but I'm not a fucking Championship footballer.
Sure.
And it there were players that were not fit and were not fit 10 weeks into the season.
Yeah, they did an Eden Hazard. He used to do that every once in a while. Anytime we won like a really big trophy, I knew he was coming back at the end of the summer kind of chunky. And it would take him till about Christmas to get in shape, you know?
With an even bigger ass.
Yeah, exactly. As if he needed it.
The problem we've got is, of course, we've got Derby going back down with us, who are a big club. Don't know whether Wayne Rooney will stay there because I don't know whether his wages will allow or administrators. Yeah. I don't even know whether Derby will start with another. There's a possibility of another points deduction in League One.
So why so much?
Because
like,
of
what did they do?
Financial irregularities. Spending over their turnover.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, I'm not bothered about Barnsley, obviously, but yeah, Derby could potentially go straight back up as League One champions. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but yeah, this has been awful. Peterborough have conceded more goals, or certainly have the worst goal difference in the league, as in League 2, League 1. Championship or the Premier League. It's been awful and it is depressing. It is. There's no other way to say it. It is depressing. We had a cup run to keep us going for a little while.
In the Papa John's?
No, fuck you.
Oh.
Remember when we had Man City and we kept them at bay for 60 minutes?
I don't remember that, no.
The FA Cup, Oscar.
Okay.
Yeah, we had an FA Cup run and we had Man City at home and it was fun for a while. But you almost don't need a cup run when you're struggling in the league. It was, it's been tough. And yes, I'm not going to lie, I'm looking forward to going back to League One and winning some matches because it has been fucking rough. Sorry for how depressing this opening has been.
No, it's okay. Fish and depression.
Yeah.
that's what we got here,
Which
folks.
is my life at the minute.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's a good way to sort of seg out of the banter section.
Was this banter?
Yeah. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We're very happy to have you. We are a Premier League podcast nominally, although we often get distracted. And there's also usually a third person, although that has also been happening less. What a weird year. But we are two Brits and one American. We talk about the Premier League, but often get distracted. If you're coming back, wow, okay. We love you. We appreciate it. Keep coming back for more.
Sure.
Obviously, Chuck isn't here this week. He will be back soon. We love you, Chuck. I am back now, which is nice. And soon, all three of us will be available, which will be great because then we'll really get back into the swing of things. We'll get back to our best, which I'm very excited for, to be honest with you. But go ahead and tell a friend and leave a review and patreon.com/milesoffside.
Pod. You know it now, and I know you know it, and I didn't know that before. I don't know how many weeks you've known it and have been toying with me, and now I know you know it.
Years, Ian.
It could be years.
Literal years.
It could be years.
Yeah, although I do trick myself into forgetting it because of the joke,
But this is the thing. I've known you as for a long time now, and I know you as someone whose memory cannot always be relied upon. It's very hit and miss.
That's true.
And I feel it's very similar to my son. Like, he can remember, he's 11, and he can remember meals he had 6 years ago. But if I tell him to do a fucking job, he forgets it instantly.
Oh, how convenient. Yeah, mine also revolves around chores and doing things.
Yeah, funny.
Interesting. No, I'm just bad at names, really. Names is the big one for me. Anything with the same letter, I'm like, nah, I'm out. I'm just out. I wonder if I don't know. Anyway, we'll kick things off around here with our famous segment, Rapid Fire News.
Haven't got the iPad.
A bit of a Chelsea ownership update here, just because there are quite a few Chelsea fans that listen to this podcast, and it's been a while. We recently had the final bids Friday, as they called it, which is when official final bids were due from which they were going to decide. 2 groups pulled out on that day, on final bids Friday. And one of the 2 that dropped out was the Ricketts family, which is really great. Fuck those guys. And also billionaire investor Ken Griffin pulled out on the last day before final bids. So there's still 3 in the running. My personal preference continues to be for the Bowley group. They do a good job running the Dodgers in baseball, so I'd like to see them hopefully bring that sort of analytics and ownership to Chelsea. I can only assume that all 3 of these ownership groups are terrible human beings because you don't really get to be a billionaire without doing bad things, such is the nature of billionaires. So I'm gonna hope that it's the least evil of the three once whatever skeletons come out of that closet get brought out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. The least bad is the only thing you can hope for.
Yes, the least bad. Yeah. Preferably no war crimes, and that'll be
that would be nice. Yeah,
an upgrade. And if they know how to use analytics, great.
Sure.
But yeah, Serena Williams and Lewis Hamilton have also joined one of the groups, and that's one of those that like like Jay-Z is part owner of the Brooklyn Nets. He owns like 0.1%. He owns a season ticket, basically.
Yeah, sure.
But then they get to trot him out and be like, yeah, we're owned by Jay-Z. Isn't that so cool?
Yeah.
Along those same lines, keeping with the Chelsea ownership updates, this broke like literally 2 hours ago at the time of recording. Bidders for Chelsea Football Club have been told that they must guarantee they will not sell a controlling stake for at least a decade. As Roman Abramovich's tenure as owner nears its conclusion, this is coming from Sky News. They learned that Rain Group told that the shortlisted bidders would have to provide commitments through 2032 to remain the majority owners.
I wonder who that's coming from, though. I wonder where that edict is coming from, because that's. I feel like that's good. A custodian period, rather, to make owners realise that they're not just in it for the short-term financial gain. But who's that? Is that from the government? So
scrolling further down the story, it doesn't officially say who it is, but it is thought to be from Mr. Abramovich, who's also seeking other assurances about Chelsea's future and the decisions going forward.
Wow.
Say what you will about him as a person, and you are allowed to think he's a good owner and a bad person. Chelsea fans, you don't have to defend him as a human being. But he has genuinely been like an excellent owner.
Yeah, of course.
Like that's not the thing to talk about. But it's been kind of enough weeks now that I feel more comfortable pointing that out as a truth.
Yeah, well, I think as a podcast, we've made it quite clear where we stand on
human
rights and war. So you can absolutely,
yeah. So having done that for a few weeks, I think I'm able to feel comfortable now being like, he's doing a really good fucking job, even as he's leaving the door. Of like, I think he has genuine love for the club. Like, yes, it was a sports washing thing.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. From a purely Chelsea point of view, we can absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if that's an edict he's putting in, that is only a good thing for Chelsea.
Yeah, he did that. I know that there's a lot of talk about like they have to commit to improving Stamford Bridge or building something new.
Yeah. Okay.
As part of the like agreement to be owners. Like he's doing a good job of handing it off in a way that it will be stable, which is pretty great. But also, like, can we just get bought? Because Rudiger, I don't know, that's another news story. Rudiger's gone for sure officially because we didn't get bought in time to negotiate a new contract. And he was like, sorry, I got to do what I got to do. So he's on his way out.
Yeah, that is a blow.
Yeah, it sucks. Sucks a lot because we have seen how the defending has gone without him in the lineup recently, and it has not been good. Spoiler alert. That's kind of everything going on with Chelsea. Continuing on with the transfer talk, we'll go to our next story here. Erling Haaland has given the green light to Manchester City to move after initial personal terms have been agreed. So that's for this summer. The Athletic revealed earlier this year that City were winning the race. There's still some work to be done before the deal is finalized, such as payment to Dortmund and commission to Haaland's representatives. So it's not officially closed.
Yeah.
But it's looking like pretty much a done deal, given that he and the club have both been like, yeah, we're doing this.
Yeah, it's super interesting that this is like slightly backwards to how deals are usually done. In that you don't usually do personal terms until a deal has been made between clubs.
Well, isn't he out on a free?
Well, is it? Because I read...
I don't actually know, and I closed the tab hilariously.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. Yep.
I thought there was some sort of compensation scenario at least, but yeah, maybe you're right.
Maybe, but I don't know if it's a transfership fee.
Right, yeah, okay. God, these things are so complicated these days. Because I was reading about Eriksen and the potential move to Tottenham that might be on the cards.
Yeah.
But even that is not... it's like a free light in that there will be some payment probably to Brentford for being the ones that brought him back in. And I don't know, it was just all very shady and sort of... I don't know, not
I mean, the football financial system is broken and is like...
Yeah.
Largely centered at this point around money laundering.
Sure.
So of course it's obfuscated and hard to like track stuff.
I know. Yeah.
Agents are a problem. I'm sure that's gonna that is something that is gonna be something we have to have a whole podcast special about in a year or two. Yeah. When whatever it is that's gonna come out that breaks the system comes out and breaks the system.
Yeah.
Because agents are a huge problem. There's just all sorts of really bad incentives and like really bad structures in place for all sorts of shady things to go down.
Bad.
Bad all around. But actually, that's a good segue to our next story because regulations are nice. The government the UK government, is looking to introduce an independent football regulator in England after backing a fan-led review. The government says it will establish a regulator in the men's game. It will have the power to sanction clubs in English football who break financial and other rules. The Premier League said it recognizes and accepts the case for reform, but that a regulator is not necessary. It'll come with a new owner's test and legislations to give fans more say in the running of the game and the clubs. That's pretty great.
It is, but call me a bluff old cynic. I'm going to file this under believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I'm probably with you on that.
You know, as in I'm sure it will happen. The effectiveness of it, I am absolutely not sold on because rich people get what they want. So, yep, we'll just park that. Put a pin in it. Boop.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people are like, oh, are we finally going to see something like what Germany has? You know, the 50+1 model, which means that I think the fans own over 50% of the club, right? That's what 50+1 means? Kind of, sort of.
Even that's iffy, yeah.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
I don't think we want the German system. Like, the German league is having its own problems in that, well, here, another story. Bayern Munich just won their 10th consecutive Bundesliga title.
Yeah.
And they're not even that good this year by Bayern Munich standards.
Well, look, this is the thing. When we accepted the Premier League in 1992, I'm being ridiculous, but you make a deal with the devil and you sort of have to take the consequences. Now, we decided at that point that I know I've talked about this before, but back in those days, you had one, maybe 2 games maximum, if you were lucky, on terrestrial TV.
Outer space, all of the channels.
All of the channels, absolutely. Lucky alien bastards. But you know, that's what was brought in. It was a big hoo-ha at the time. And within 5-6 years, the Premier League was being touted as the best league in the world. And that was because of the TV money. Yep. And that is it. You make a deal with the devil and you've got to decide what you want. Now,
well, going back to Germany, like, it used to be, Bayern's always been dominant in Germany. And that has to do with the way that the ownership works. Like, those clubs just can't be as rich inherently. Mm-hmm. So financially, they can't compete with Bayern, the other German clubs. And it used to be that Bayern would hoover up all the best German players from all the other teams. Lewandowski, right? That's how he ended up at Bayern. They just, perpetually would raid Dortmund and Leverkusen and Cologne and other teams that historically had some players that got moved. But now, because of the TV money, because of England, which is the real Super League, everyone, hoovers up all the talent from Germany. So, like, now the players that used to go to Bayern from Dortmund are now rotting on the bench at Man United for half a season. Do you know what I mean? Like, very specific person in mind there. And like, sure. all of that talent that used to go to Bayern is now getting funneled to England because of the money. So why the hell would English clubs have any incentive or reason to go more to a German ownership model?
Exactly.
When the English ownership model has made it such that the German league is now basically a farmers league for the Premier League. Like, it's a feeder league.
Exactly. That is exactly it. We know what we are, or we ought to. And if you don't, then sort yourself out, because the reason the Premier League is what it is because of the ownership and the TV. We don't punish the ownership wherever the money comes from until very recently and until politically expedient to do so. And
only in some cases when literally, like weeks before that, you fully welcomed and embraced.
Absolutely.
Worse, whatever. We've had this conversation. We don't need to have the conversation. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right there. You're absolutely right to point out that Newcastle were taken over by a country that has, call me uneducated, potentially a worse human rights record than Russia. I don't know. Who cares? Who's keeping the league table? Not sure.
Yeah, it's hard to measure at that point.
So it's like, and exactly that, until this, in inverted commas, happened, We were all happy with Roman. We've talked about this before. We were all happy with the sports washing. We weren't, but you know what I mean. It's not going to go backwards now. And by backwards, I don't mean socially backwards, because it would be socially forwards to go to a Bundesliga model. But it's not going to go backwards financially. And that's the only thing that matters to the Premier League and its stakeholders.
I rewatched WandaVision last week.
Okay.
Just because I'm like getting excited for the hard left turn, but I'm going to bring it back to the soccer in a second. I
Sure.
I rewatched WandaVision last week because I'm just trying to like work myself up into a frenzy, right? Going into Doctor Strange, the new one. So I'm going to rewatch WandaVision. I'm going to rewatch What If. I'm going to rewatch the Doctor Strange movie and the Spider-Man movie and all that sort of stuff. And I was sitting there on my phone watching, and at the same time reading this article talking about like literally the history of the transfers and how like that has progressed towards England. But it was basically showing how like England is killing European football.
Yeah.
With how rich it's become and how much money the Premier League has. And like on my TV at the same time, Agnes was like sucking out the souls of all of those witches in the flashback to Salem. And she's like, I make myself powerful of your death. And I was sigh. And then I'm reading this article about the Premier League, and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. We are the bad guys. We are the bad guys.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So if you're a Premier League fan and you think you're holier than anyone else, like, yeah, sure, Roman sucks, and obviously Man City and Newcastle, but like,
we're
all kind of the bad guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep these in place, yeah.
Exactly. We are, like, the Premier League is... Like, it's gotten to the point where even the Bundesliga is lowering its level relative, which is insane. Let's see. There's a few more stories. I don't particularly want to run through them too long, so I'll just read off the headlines and you can give a one-sentence response if you want. Safe standing at grounds across the UK has had a positive impact on spectator safety and improved the matchday experience. A new report said the trial of safe standing, which began in January, has allowed Chelsea, blah, 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 blah. And they're saying that more barriers and rails installed in front of seats makes more orderly and provide more stability for people moving up and down the aisles. Thoughts on safe standing?
Yeah, well, this is very interesting. I won't go on for too long, but like I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so Hillsborough was a big thing in my formative football experience.
Yep.
Just in vaguely understanding what went on when I was very young.
For any new fans, there was a crowd rush and 97 people, 96.
It is, I believe, now 97 because someone died pretty recently from
large and unacceptable number of people died because of the structure of the stadium, and it was like an unsafe situation. There was regulations put in place to sort of prevent that sort of thing. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so all I was going to say was that, you know, I've been almost preconditioned to be that standing is unsafe when really anyone who looked into Hillsborough at all knows that it was the planning on the day, it was the terrible decisions that were made by match commander, so forth on the day. No one needs to go into this. If you do the lightest bit of reading, you know about it. So it's a weird one for me because standing feels inherently unsafe because I was conditioned to believe that. But all these trials are saying that safe standing rail seating is, you know, not necessarily a bad thing, and indeed, like Peterborough's got a terrace still. You know, we still stand, and this was the last season that the Championship was going to allow us to be in the.
Good thing you got relegated,
isn't it? Just that's what I was about to say. So thank God we got relegated, and we got a new stadium on the way. Yay to watch League One football in. But yeah, so it does seem that all the trials have been successful. And it hasn't just been in this country; it's been in various other countries as well. And there doesn't seem to be any problem with rail seating. Is a different thing from what standing used to be back in the day. As I say, Peterborough's got a terrace. It is ridiculous in that I can imagine what it would be like if far too many people were let in. It would be horrific. Whereas rail seating, safe standing, is totally different. You have an assigned space, you have a flip down seat, and no one will use it. But those seating bits will just naturally form a barrier. If anything as ridiculous as Hillsborough was ever to happen again, you would have regular natural barriers between the rows, if you know what I mean. So, Yeah, it's a tough one for me because of when I grew up. But yeah, I think, I were willing to go with the evidence, and safe standing seems to be a viable option.
All right. And the last story, Fulham coming up. Mitro, 40 goals, 39 games.
Shit me.
Fucking crazy. 40 goals, 39 games over the course of the season.
Good Lord.
He's shattering records.
Watford, Norwich, Burnley, and/or Everton, and/or whoever's going down. Buy fucking Mitro from Fulham.
Yeah, although he can't do it in the Premier League, man.
Can't do it in the Premier League.
How many times has he been in the Premier League? He's had 3 seasons now?
2 or
where
3.
He just couldn't do shit?
2 or 3. Yeah. And will I buy him again in fantasy football? Sure.
Absolutely, opening day. First name on the list.
Triple captain, game week 1. But, what he's done this season in the Championship has been unbelievable. And from a supporter of a team who cannot score goals at all, I don't... Oh, God, do I dare...
Does he have more goals than Peterborough?
I was just wondering.
I bet he does. Almost certainly. 40 goals is a lot of goals.
It's not bad, is it?
There's Premier League teams that don't have 40 goals, I bet.
Good Lord, do I have to look this up? This is going to be absolutely
This is going to be depressing.
awful.
There's no good answer to this question, Ian. I'm letting you do it because, sometimes you watch a kid go with a fork to an electric socket and you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything like this.
Oh, God, Peterborough scored 38 goals.
There it is. I told you there was no happy ending to this.
Oh, okay. No, let's take it positively. Well done, Mitro. What a fucking amazing season, you fucking bastard.
That's pretty incredible. Ian, if it makes you feel any better, there are 7 teams in the Premier League with less goals than Mitro, and 9 teams with the same or less.
Sure.
There's 2 teams on 40.
Less games, though, but yeah.
Less games, but whatever. We're still going with that.
I mean, Barnsley finished bottom of the Championship and they only scored 32, so, fuck you, Barnsley.
There you go. Fuck them. Fuck Barnsley.
Thanks, man.
Cool. I mean, that's all the news.
Yeah, no, it's good news.
Where are we at on time? Because we're recording on a new thing.
25 minutes or something.
25? Okay, cool. That's actually shorter than usual for Going great. It has been a while since we recorded. In that time, you've been relegated. Chelsea got kicked out of the Champions League in the semifinal by Real Madrid, and Palace lost to Chelsea in the semifinal. So been a shit couple of weeks for our teams.
Yeah, sure.
Chelsea are through to the final of the FA Cup, but as I mentioned, I was rooting for Palace there. So I'm not angry that Chelsea are through, but that's not what I wanted. We have been in 6 of the last 7 FA Cup finals, I believe.
Is that true?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Either 5 of the last 6 or 6 of the last 7. So, it really isn't that exciting for us. I know that I sound like the biggest asshole in the world, but, I want to beat Liverpool, but if we were playing a different team, I wouldn't care as much. But now I really fucking want it because we're playing Liverpool.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, I don't want them to get it, and then I want us to get it instead. Chelsea also were bad and good in random matches. Let's see, what are Chelsea's results since then? They lost to Arsenal. Oh, yeah, good job, Arsenal. Arteta actually looked good there. Thoroughly outplayed Chelsea, 2.5 to 0.7. Arsenal having a bigger thread going, which is that they also beat Man United. I don't know how we're going to go through these lists of games, so I'm just going to skip like that.
Yeah, go for it.
Arsenal 3, Manchester United 1. Arsenal 2.2 to Manchester United's 2.1. So closer match on XG than the Chelsea match, but 2 big name teams, at least one fairly good team, if not fully checked out for summer vacation here. Arsenal getting some good results. Arsenal up to 67% for the 4th place spot. This is the fun part about statistics, Ian. Sample size. When they were 70% and then it went down, everyone was like, see, the numbers were wrong. And I'm like, no, the numbers are wrong right now. But at that point, looking over a simulation of the entire rest of the season, they won 70% of those. And look what's happening as we get further towards the end of the rest of the season. It's going back up towards that number. That is not to say that that number was absolute. That's not really how stats works for all the actual analytics people out there being like, what are you talking about? But that is also to say that 70% wasn't wrong, particularly because they're back to it. They're probably going to get 4th place. I don't know. How are you feeling about Arsenal? These are good games against good teams. They looked good.
I'm pleasantly surprised that you want to talk about Arsenal rather than the terribleness at Man United. But yeah, okay, we'll do Arsenal.
Fuck Man United. I have no takes on them. I don't ever want to talk about them.
Yeah, but it's fun at the minute, Oscar.
They suck. There you go. They suck.
Yeah, but it's really fun at the minute. There's a lot of fun stuff. But okay, I'll deal with the fun Man United stuff in a bit.
Fair enough.
But Arsenal, yeah. Okay, so which Arsenal are we looking at? at the minute.
This is the good Arsenal. Lots of crosses, wins.
Lots of crosses, yeah. Okay.
XG, 50 plus crosses every match. That's how you know they're doing good.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let me throw in a news story as well to Arsenal then. They're apparently the front runners for Gabriel Jesus for Manchester City. Now,
okay.
I expressly I wrote this down because it was something I wanted to talk to you about because obviously Chelsea at the moment handcuffed. They cannot be in the chase for someone like Jesus.
Sure. Jesus
is apparently up for the move, which is fair enough. Like he's never really pushed for being number one at Man City.
Even after Aguero left, he still hasn't nailed that down. So
apparently he's always been the consummate pro.
Haaland is coming in.
Well, it certainly looks that way. Absolutely. So, but he also apparently is open to a move to Arsenal. Where
you mean he wants the Chelsea move?
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. Is it sort of upsetting that in where you've maybe struggled, Werner's up and down lately.
Sure. Now tied with Benteke, so I might not have to give my Twitter over, control of my Twitter over to Chuck.
Right, okay.
Which will be nice. Yeah, they're both on 4 goals, I think.
Not how we thought that bet would pan out.
I was going through my gambling slips, and I bet on Timo Werner to win the Golden Boot. Back in August. I know. I mean, I always put some ridiculous Chelsea bets on at the start of the season, knowing that they're probably going to lose. But, I bet for them to win the Champions League every year. That never hits. But, I saw that one, and I was like, oof, that is...
But anyway, so Jesus feels like the sort of player that Chelsea would have been bang up for. And that, obviously, it's not even a consideration. Whereas Jesus sounds like he's willing to move to London, looking to be, this possibly be the last move, and to have a team be built, if not built around him, certainly he'd be the focal point. Is it slightly upsetting that Chelsea aren't in for him because of other extraneous reasons?
No, not at all. No, I think I don't think he's a good fit for Chelsea given all the other similarly positioned and technically abled players.
Words.
Yeah, words. I mean, he would be coming in to be like in the middle of the back of the line. We already have Hakim Ziyech and Pulisic and Timo and Mount and Havertz and Callum when he's healthy. All fighting for those spots out there. And I don't know that it would be any better of a situation for him than he has at City. And I don't know that he's a massive upgrade on any of those players for us.
Yeah. Okay.
So he would just be another piece in the system, which is good to have, but we don't have to spend the money for it to be him. There are lots of other players that could do that. And I don't think it's a good fit for him either. I think he would fit more naturally with the younger, faster and more sort of fluid, I guess, players at Arsenal. Whereas Chelsea's system is very it's not rigid, but it's a system.
Okay.
It's very systematic.
Fair enough.
Let's say that.
So, sorry, I'm not necessarily talking about this game specifically. I'm just looking for bigger picture things because I was genuinely interested to know what you thought about whether you'd have been in for him and whether you'd have been
I think Chelsea this summer should be looking at. I hope the new ownership comes in and analyzes with analytics the situation, and I'm hoping their conclusion is that we need to spend money at central midfield. Right. Someone like a Goretzka or a Kimmich, like a Conte level and Conte replacement, potentially given his age profile, player. Not even, I want Declan Rice, and it would be great to have him, but he's not Conte level.
Yeah.
Make a splash signing as a statement of look, we're the new owners and we really are committed, which is something that a lot of new owners do. Get us the best central midfielder in the world. And then also with Rudiger leaving, we're going to have to spend at center back.
Yeah.
So that's the areas that I want to see Chelsea improve in. We have Lukaku. We didn't need Lukaku. When we bought Lukaku, I said, I wish we had spent that money on a Conte replacement. I'm still saying this a year later. We have plenty of attackers. We don't need more.
Yeah. Okay. So also, I realise I'm going away from the context of this game specifically.
Good, baby. It's a free-flowing conversation. It's just me and you this week.
But I don't think anyone went into this game or any Man United game at the minute thinking that they're a genuine prospect. No one's scared of them anymore. No one's bothered. So the parallel that I just quickly want to draw, and it might not require any comment other than yep, but isn't it weird that Arteta has managed to strip out from Arsenal what seems to be the problem with Man United, in that you've got Arsenal until very recently had a lot of players on big wages who were just causing vague problems in the dressing room.
Yeah.
Weren't really pulling their weight, the likes of Aubameyang, Ozil, people like that. And he's managed to strip them out, and then you've got this sort of young, hungry bunch of players who are fun to watch. And Man United look like Arsenal 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, where you've got all these players, they don't really seem to make sense. The board want to keep players on for commercial appeal rather than anything else. The only
thing I would say in response to that, to argue against it, because I pretty much do agree with everything that you're saying, is that the players that Man United has in their stable are much more talented than those players were at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Like Jadon Sancho could be one of the 20 best players in the world.
Well, this is it.
Correctly, right? Like Paul Pogba, they wasted Paul Pogba. That's not because Paul Pogba was a bad player.
Of course not.
Whereas especially Aubameyang the last couple of seasons, or Ozil for the last few seasons, those guys were expensive and lethargic. Whereas Man United just has a bunch of really good players that they don't know what to do with or how to put into a system.
Just lack of coaching, lack of tactical nous.
No, there's ownership. Not ownership. Management, high-level management problems at Man United, I would say.
Yeah.
They lack a Marina Granovskaya who can have a vision and negotiate for smart purchases. They always make dumb purchases on top of then.
But then they double down. But then they double down on that, because when it's very clear they need to move someone on, the board will try and hang on to them because they've got commercial appeal. So you're absolutely right. I think recruitment is wrong at Man United and has been for a while. But then they don't cut their losses in ways that some other teams seem to be willing to. Like Arsenal, I would have never have said would have been willing to cut their losses on Aubameyang. But that's what they did, and it seemed like a good move, And I don't know, it's maybe happening possibly because of COVID and cash flows and things. But some clubs seem more willing to go. We talked about this before. What's the word for it? Is it sunk cost or
yeah
sunk
cost? Yeah, that's right.
Thanks. So. Yeah, you guys have talked about it before. It was not something I was familiar with before, but there is the clubs seem more willing to go. Throwing more good money after bad is not the way to go here.
Yeah,
and we'll get rid. Man United don't do that. They feel like no, we're going to hang on to these because we'll sell a few more shirts in Asia.
I would say that part of that comes from the fact that Man United is the richest club in the world.
Yeah,
I mean, not counting the oil clubs. Because that's infinite money.
Or the debt that they owe to themselves, but yeah.
Right, exactly. But Man United are unreasonably rich.
Yeah.
So they don't have to make good financial decisions.
Right.
That's not a factor that particularly is constraining in their decision making. It will hit a limit. You could turn into a Barcelona if you make enough really expensive, really bad decisions. But I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they're in really particularly to the point where they have to worry about how much. Are they spending 120 versus 150 on a transfer? Not that those aren't literal numbers, but as a hypothetical example, I don't think they're sweating that 30 million the way Arsenal would.
Of course.
Even to keep it within big clubs, or potentially the new Chelsea ownership. Who knows? So Man United are so rich that it gives them. It just changes their incentives. They're just not making their decisions in the way that other clubs make their decisions.
Okay, well, sorry, I went bigger picture with that, but
I love bigger picture.
Yeah, I know you do. So if we take it back to this match, no one. I don't think it was unexpected that Man United lose this match.
No, like I said, both United and Chelsea were checked out.
Yeah,
that Chelsea defense. Oof. Oh man. We are on summer vacation. There's one game that kind of matters. No, it matters. It's the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Definitely matters to the players, I'll say.
Exactly.
For sure, and the club.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're a lock for third. We're fucking checked out.
Yeah.
And Arsenal put the sword to us like they rightly should have, which is not necessarily something they would have done in the past. So I'm not dismissing their win.
Mm.
But yeah, you're not wrong. None of this was all that shocking, even to see it play out in real time.
Yeah.
Because Arsenal have something to play for, and like Chelsea and United don't really. I mean, you saw that against West Ham. Chelsea barely got that win against West Ham.
So let me just, because we haven't talked about this match really at all. No, just other than that Arsenal, I think were good value for their win. I mean, but just to drill down on Man United, they're, as you've said, top to bottom just seem ridiculous. Did you see what Paul Scholes said?
No. Did he show everyone his willy? No, that wasn't what he said.
In the studio, just popped his shorts off.
That is a reference to a thing that happened. For the record, that's not a joke about sexual assault. His shorts rode up one time, and you could see his willy, and it was funny.
His willy popped out. No. So he said that this is. Bear in mind, and you'll love this, Oscar. Bear in mind, this is on live sports coverage. He says. So yeah, I was talking to Jesse Lingard, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, but the dressing room is a disaster.
I bet he does mind you saying that, bro.
I'm pretty sure he will mind. I mean, I know Jesse isn't necessarily best friends with the way things have gone with Man United
of course,
at the minute, but I'm pretty sure he won't want you saying that you've been in direct contact with him. And he
just shit talks his club.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm sure Jesse won't mind me saying this, but it's a fucking shit show. And Scott McTominay though comes out in his post match, and he didn't just do this once, by the way, because you know what it's like. Players do the rounds. They do the couple of broadcasters that are there, and then they do the press. And his comments didn't change between all three of them. So at no point did he calm down, but he just slated the club pretty much top to bottom. Whole load of problems in terms of players, staff, and everything higher up. The fundamentals of football aren't there, including balls and belief. And
proper. He wants it proper.
Oh, he said balls a few times. He really did. But yeah, it's pride on the pitch. Give your best to everyone. There are lots of things going on at the minute. When we get back in the dressing room, it's go home and take a look at yourself in the mirror time. You can't go back to your house and be satisfied with conceding 3 goals at Arsenal.
Shade at Arsenal there. I love it.
Certainly, which is lovely. De Gea did the same last week, calling. And I love it when a goalkeeper does this, because I always think of goalkeepers as like sub-outfield players. Because at school, if you were playing in goal, it's because you're not good enough outfield. Yeah, sure, I played in goal sometimes. Yeah. But he was calling the team a disgrace, and that they weren't doing enough to create chances and stuff, which I always love a goalkeeper saying. The only chances a goalkeeper creates are route one, boot it up, off we go. But he also can see the whole pitch, so maybe there's something in it. But honestly, Man United, and I know you didn't want to talk about them because you don't like talking about Man United, but it's negative, so let's go. They just seem like a wreck. They just seem like an absolute wreck. And no one seems surprised. My take that they were going to finish maybe third does not look good. That was my take preseason, I believe.
Yeah. They still have all the pieces. They just can't find the right manager. And maybe, I guess, Rangnick, I kind of thought for a second could have been. I didn't know that much about him, but the people that he had worked with made it seem like he might be, and he's not. I doubt Ten Hag is going to be it.
Well, it's going to be really interesting, because they're apparently going to give him a lot of power. That's the word coming out of the club. We're going to go back to a Ferguson light era where the manager has a huge amount of power.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll stick with that long enough for it to not backfire.
Sure. That's a long time on the first game. I apologise, but there was a lot of bigger picture things that seemed to come out of that.
There's a lot of games. We've kind of talked about 7 of them sporadically. Anyway, shall we check in on Liverpool Island? The title race is still going.
Isn't it just?
Speaking of Man United, we had Liverpool smashing them 4-0, 1.7 to 0.1 on XG.
Yeah, of course we haven't spoken since then.
Grief.
I mean, that is exactly it. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Who in their right mind didn't know that would be a Liverpool win to nothing?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was just... No one thought anything different unless you were absolutely insane.
0.1, though, is atrocious. And then Liverpool followed that up winning 2-0, 1.7 to 0.5 against Everton. Can we spend like another half hour on this match? I forgot about this until I saw it on the rundown just now.
Yeah.
Good grief. That was first of all, it was a very boring match for the majority of it.
It
was violent. There was violence. So I guess there's that.
I liked it.
Yep, there it is. There was some violence to entertain, for sure. Richarlison was fun to watch. Oh, what a delight.
Man, yeah, love him.
Yeah. But also Liverpool relegating Everton, basically, with this result, while keeping their title hopes alive. Gotta feel good. And I do say alive because they are still only at 36%, according to 538. Everyone wants there to be a title race. The statistics don't necessarily agree. But Everton are 55%. 55 after that result.
That is a direct result of what we call points on the board. Points on the board of what Burnley have got. We won't talk. I don't think we'll probably talk about Burnley Wolves because I very much doubt you watched that match.
I did not.
No, of course.
No.
And,
I was watching Chelsea struggle to put West Ham away.
Struggle to beat West Ham, yeah.
Yeah.
But what we will say about Burnley quickly is 7 out of the last 9 points.
Hey, no, boo.
Well, your boo. I know exactly what you mean because you dislike Burnley, but Dyche is gone. Maybe we're looking at a new Burnley now. We're not.
Boo. No. I don't ever believe them, folks. When they tell you they've changed, just take me back. I'm different. I found myself. I went on a trek. Nope, fuck them. Once a cheater, always a cheater, Ian. Yeah. Okay? Fuck Burnley. I will never like Burnley. I will never like Burnley.
And I am not trying to argue that, don't worry. But I saw the pre-build-up of Monday Night Football, because as we record, Palace and Leeds is happening. It's still 0-0 at the minute in the second half. But and they were putting up some stats about Burnley, and with the incredibly small sample size of the new managers...
2 games?
3 games.
3, okay.
Yeah, 3 games, yeah. Well, because they've got 7 points out of 9.
Most points per match in the history of Burnley's managers.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. And while I understand, because it's not been quite so long ball, and there's been a bit more short pass football and a little bit more adventurous. I haven't seen anything that's been vastly different from the Dyche era, but. Yeah, okay, fine. I
mean, I didn't know that. Still, I go back to, don't care. Fuck them.
Yeah, I know you don't.
They can start playing really nice. And maybe they are, and good for them, I guess. But I hope they play really nice in the championship.
Fine. And I know that's your position. And my and Chuck's position is slightly different in that...
Because you want Everton to go down.
I don't want anyone to go down, but it would be fucking funny if Everton went down.
It would be pretty funny.
Like, that is fucking next level shit. Like... Honestly,
the American in me, I think, it doesn't want Everton to go down. I know too many Everton fans.
Okay.
They're a very popular club over here.
Really, are they?
Yeah. Did you not know that?
No.
Oh, well, I mean, Tim Howard. So, like, when the Premier League was first growing, and there's been a second wave now. Shout out new Patreon Nick and friend of the pod and my friend in real life, who is part of that wave of new fans. Since the pandemic, I think a lot of people kind of found their way to soccer. But even before that, the first wave of like a bunch of new fans in the Premier League was when Tim Howard was like really good, really, really, really popular because we didn't have any good players.
Okay.
And he was at Everton.
Yeah.
And then Landon Donovan went on loan there.
Of course, yeah.
2 Januaries he spent at Everton.
Yeah, I love Landon Donovan.
Landon Donovan.
Yeah.
Love Landon Donovan. Don't like Tim Howard. Love Landon Donovan. Such a good advocate for mental health and just such an amazing player.
Yeah, top man, yeah.
So top person. So there's a lot of American Everton fans.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay,
and like I have a natural sort of fondness for them, even though I also hate them for Chelsea reasons.
Yeah.
They are a bogey team for us. I know Chuck doesn't think bogey teams exist. I do, even though it does not go at all in line with like logic and numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to allow yourself to be superstitious, and I do think bogey teams are a thing.
Well, bogey teams and players, you tell Everton that Divock Origi is not a fucking bogey player.
Oh my God. I'll get Divock Origi, mate.
Divock Origi.
Oh.
Jesus. Apparently scored more goals in Merseyside derbies than Kenny Dalglish. Burnley,
No
which is
fucking way.
fucking
The
amazing.
Kenny Dalglish.
Just hilarious that, but yeah. So I that's interesting what you're saying there. I mean, like I say, just for the chaos of it, me and Chuck love chaos. You love chaos as well, but I understand the Everton love there, I suppose, and the Burnley hate because they're the number defiers.
Yeah, it's much more of a Burnley hate than anything
Understood.
To be clear.
But fuck me, it'd be interesting to see Everton in the Championship.
Yeah, they have a lot of money. Although their owner got sanctioned also. Although he's only like part owner, and they were a lot more secretive about the money laundering, whereas Roman was like, I own Chelsea, fuck you.
Yeah, right, okay.
They never tried to hide it.
Okay.
This guy's kind of behind the scenes, but their financials might be in serious problems depending on how much of the dirty money was his dirty money.
But game-wise, this was the problem we've got, because you're saying title race, 36% Liverpool, and that is because Man City are currently ahead. Is it 1 point ahead, or is it...
They are, as of right now, 1 point ahead.
Yeah,
yes.
Right. So that's the sort of... what's the word? I don't know, the solid state effects of that's where it is. And at the minute, no team in that position seems to be dropping points. Liverpool, every game they play, you think they're going to score more than the opponents. Man City just trounced Watford, what was it, 5-1 in the end?
Yep, and a 3-0 against Brighton before that.
Yeah, so the problem is you can't see any of the teams dropping points, and that's why Man City's statistical projection is above Liverpool's.
Yeah, it's basically saying that when you simulate things for the rest of forever, only 1 in every 3 times does either of these teams drop points.
Which sounds right. It does sound right. So let's put a pin in the title race, because until a team drops points, there's no point talking about it. I genuinely, I just don't know what to say anymore about Man City and Liverpool. Everton fans, some Everton fans are taking some solace from this performance, and it's interesting to me because I know why, because it was the low block and they were letting Liverpool have possession, an ungodly amount of possession, by the way.
I think the second most ever for a first half.
Really?
Something like that.
Wow. Over the whole game, it was 83% possession to Liverpool, which is...
This is insane.
An insane amount. It's a disgusting amount.
Frankly disgusting. Honestly, Frank, have a word.
Oh man, I feel so funny about slagging Frank off all the time because
he deserves it more and more. If they go down, I think he needs like an eat, pray, love, by which I mean he needs to spend a season in the championship in low pressure, like a reasonable situation where he's not in over his head. You know what I mean? Like, stop doing that. I know that he's a literal genius, but he's obviously overestimating his abilities to be a manager. So stop going for the hardest situations you can think of and go for a more normal situation for a couple of years.
I just meant I feel bad because quite often I work with his wife. She's just
well, there you go.
I just don't listen to my podcast ever, please. But
I'm sure she does not.
I'm sure she does not. Absolutely. Yeah, we are left in a position where Everton weren't in the bottom 3 when he took over. Everton are in the bottom 3 now.
Yeah.
Everton are more likely than not to go down. Obviously, there's bigger problems. No one's saying it's just Lampard's management that have led to this. That would be genuinely ridiculous because the club just genuinely seems rotten from top to bottom. It's not good at all. And I can imagine being an Everton fan and just having your head in your hands about this situation, because the fixtures are terrible coming up.
Well, the next one's against us at Goodison. We always lose at Goodison anyway.
Yeah,
and we're checked out, man.
You are checked out. And I'll tell you what, we will segue to that checked outness very soon. The only thing I would say is that it's just I think Everton are relying on something quite special happening, and I don't know where that special thing is coming from, because I don't think the defence have got it in them to keep many clean sheets at all, especially with the fixtures they've got coming up. Burnley, to use an old British expression, have got their peckers up. And they are they've got some momentum. And when I think me and Chuck had a look at like Burnley's fixtures coming up, and you would look at fixtures like Wolves, which we're not going to go into, but you'd look at fixtures like Wolves and go, that could easily be a Burnley win, and it was. And that's the thing. Whereas where you've got Burnley going into games where they're with sort of mid-table opposition, you're going, cool, Burnley will fancy that. I don't know what Everton fixtures I will look at and go, Everton will fancy it. Because I don't think they ever fancy themselves in a fixture.
I don't disagree with you.
I'm not really arguing for anything. I'm just, other than Everton have got a fucking rough few weeks coming up.
They sure do.
That's all I'm arguing for,
Yeah, I don't disagree. If a model is going to find, if variance is going to, how do I say this? I think people always think that variance and luck are exactly the same. Luck being like pure randomness.
Yeah.
Which is not true. There's always a lot of noise in data. Part of which is explainable, but not measurably explainable. Mm-hmm. So that it becomes literal noise in the data because like it isn't a number. It's the extra bits that kind of lead to errors in estimations. And something like Chelsea are checked the fuck out for the season is not going to be caught up in the XG numbers. That's going off of the entire season. And like realistically, there's a pretty good chance we'll win. It's Everton. We are much better than Everton. But the model will project based off of how Chelsea has been so far. The model does not assume, any model, no good model should either. That's just not how like stats works particularly, but it doesn't assume that Chelsea's going to be radically different going forward for whatever reason, which in reality, there are going to be hard junctures where like clubs' performances for real reasons that you can like see and understand and explain like will vary from the numbers in meaningful ways. And I think that Chelsea being checked out is one of them. So I do think that like, if you look at Everton's percentages or you look at Everton's like, even the gambling sites wouldn't take that into account. A result against Chelsea is incredibly unlikely for Everton, whereas now it's only kind of unlikely, I think. So that could be somewhere where they find points. What do you think? You've seen Chelsea recently, like, come on, they could get 3 points off us.
That is the only thing that makes me think of any chance whatsoever, because Chelsea do seem the almost definition of on the beach lately. I mean, the West Ham performance.
We generated 2.8. That's surprising to me.
It is surprising.
I mean, that includes the penalty, right, that Jorginho missed, but that's still 2.1. Yeah. We must have gotten a bunch of chances late on. It was boring to watch.
It really was dull. And West Ham don't give a shit anymore. Premier League wise, I think it's pretty clear from the lineup that they are not prioritising.
They're worried about other competitions.
Yeah, absolutely, which is fair enough.
Yep.
But then you think, well, Chelsea should do a number on this team, and they absolutely didn't. And it was pretty lethargic, I thought. So, I mean, we don't necessarily need to go into even Chelsea that much because your season is done. Yeah. And that's not a fun thing to think of as a fan with 4 games left. But like, I don't know. What do we talk about here? Is the era of the skip penalty gone?
I mean, I have some Chelsea takes. I could have enough Chelsea takes for a whole Chelsea pod.
Okay.
But so I'll trot out a few. One, it's been really nice to see the Timo resurgence.
Yeah,
at least renaissance. Yeah. Whatever word, some word with an R.
Yeah.
He's been good. He's been fun. I like him, man. I always like him. He just runs and he smiles and he runs. And he never complains. He doesn't flop. He doesn't moan. He's not like, he just seems like a really good teammate and a really hard worker.
You just described the white Kante.
Yeah, basically. But with a lisp and German and blonde. And I love him. And it's been really great to see him do well. I don't know. He's gotten a few goals, a little less bad luck.
Yeah, that is definitely true.
He's always been good in other competitions. He's dog shit in the league, but he's always been a cup, like, and that when I say cup, I mean like FA Cup and Champions League. I don't mean like the fucking League Cup.
Yeah.
He likes a cup goal. So, but it's good to see him doing well. That's one of my Chelsea takes, is that it makes me smile. What else do we have about Chelsea? I actually want the FA Cup. because
Of course you do.
it's Liverpool.
Yeah.
I didn't, but now that it's Liverpool, I very much want it. So I want that on the record. I don't want anyone to be like, oh, he's going to pretend he doesn't get. No, it's fucking Liverpool. I want that.
Does the FA Cup final come before the Champions League final in the calendar?
Yeah. The Champions League final is supposed to be the last thing in the European football calendar across all leagues and cups.
Okay. So you could be the quadruple killers if you got in there.
That could be nice.
Yeah, you'd enjoy that.
As long as it doesn't go 11-10 on penalties.
Yeah.
Like the last time we had them in a cup final.
Yeah, true. So, are we seeing the end of the skip penalty now? Because
no.
Are we not?
I don't think so. Give it Timo, though. More goals for Timo, boost his confidence.
You're trying to take me off of the skip penalty thing, but Jorginho's penalty was one of the worst penalties I've ever seen.
Oh my God, it was terrible.
It was
so bad.
Awful. And that was obviously because on Saturday lunchtime we saw Bruno's laboured skip penalty and then hit the base of the post against Arsenal. I mean, It does seem to telegraph to the goalkeeper, like, something. Like, this battle of wits between goalkeeper and striker, if you just wait, well, I think it favours the goalkeeper eventually.
I think for me, it seems like one of those things that works 9 times out of 10, but on the time it doesn't, it's like so
we
bad.
just saw 2 bad ones.
Yeah, so like it stands out, whereas the 9 ones that go in, you're like, yeah, all right, that went in, it was a penalty, whatever. But my goodness, that looked bad.
Yeah. It was so awful.
It was spectacular.
To the point that Fabianski's laughing about it in post-match interviews afterwards. Like, yeah, people just seem to take bad penalties against me. Yeah.
He passed it slowly up the middle. Yeah. Fabianski could have guessed the wrong way twice.
Yeah.
By the time the ball got to him tamely.
Well, we have a saying in this country from when goalkeepers used to wear caps. Back in the 1800s, and he could have thrown his cap on it. It was that slow.
There you go.
It was so poor.
It was bad. It was bad. But I think that's one of those things that looks really bad when it fails, but it mostly hits.
That's possibly true. Possibly true.
I don't know. What other teams are teams? Oh, Spurs. We should talk about Spurs. They're the other half of that top
do
four.
we have to? That was a dull game as well.
That's kind of what's been going on with them. 0.4 to 0.7, losing 0-1 to Brighton, following that up with 0.8 to 0.7, drawing 0-0 with Brentford. So they lost to 2 BR teams, which is bad.
Which is how you judge it, yeah.
They generated 1.1 XG across 2 games, 0.4 and 0.7 on both of those. Again, against BR teams, not good teams. And like, they're just not good right now. What happened? What done happened? Last time we were talking, Conte was so good. Explain.
I don't know, but what I enjoy is that then Conte, rolls back to the greatest hits of a month or 2 ago and starts fluttering his eyelashes at PSG and saying that the players aren't good enough again. Whereas a week ago they were the best players in the world. This is, I don't know what to make of Conte's, what's the word, press strategy. It's very odd because I think something I've realised about myself is that I'm not sure I even actually like football.
Okay.
What I like is the soap opera around football.
Okay.
I've realised this because when I talk to you, when I talk to Chuck and people who are really into the game and tactics and stuff, I always bring up the post matches. Stuff like
That's
that.
true. You do talk about the post match interviews like a lot.
I didn't realise how much I did it. And I've listened to myself back a few times now, going, I think I just like the soap opera of it more.
That's funny.
More than the actual football, which is, really interesting. But anyway, Conte...
I think Tottenham are bad. But,
so there's no reason
but I
why
have reason to. I don't like them. I'm biased. Yeah. So of course, you know what I mean? Like,
but yeah, I thought it was fun that he just started doing Conte things again. Spurs. It was such a boring match. It's almost hard to draw any conclusions from it. I suppose we'll go to Brentford in that it's cool that they've got another shutout against a big team.
Sure.
And Ericsson looked good again. I sort of want him to stay at Brentford. Just
Me too, man.
yeah, I mean, it would be more fun, wouldn't it? And we're going to have 3 teams come up from the Championship now. It looks like Fulham, Bournemouth, ? And I'll put that in there for you, Mark Daffin. Forest have still got a shout, haven't they? And whoever else comes up from the playoffs. And, that gives the Brentford a cushion, you would think, to push on even further, because their season's been up and down, admittedly, but ultimately really good, and making a mockery of Norwich, who came up too early apparently, and then this is their second chance, so they should be fine this time. No, Brentford have shown that you can do it first time if you spend money wisely and do things properly.
Bournemouth are 92%, by the way. Just
okay, I was
so it's Bournemouth.
I know it's Bournemouth, but I was just giving some some hope to Mark there that
no,
Nottingham Forest, who relegated Peterborough, might have a chance. I'll be supporting you in the playoffs. If you get to
there you go.
If you get to Wembley, I'll also watch it on television. It's not surprising to me that Brentford draw against Spurs, and I think that's Spurs' issue really, because if you want to be a big club, you should be dispatching teams like this, no problem. And it was a problem. Son and Kane were really quite ineffectual because of Brentford's pressing, and how quickly they got to them when they were on the ball. And I think, I don't know. Conte's done really good things at Spurs. Let's make that very, very clear.
Yeah.
But he knows, and I know as the layman viewer, that there's still work to do. And I still think there's quite a lot of work to do. What are the percentages on the top 4 as it stands?
Arsenal are 66 and Tottenham are 34. So about 1 in 3.
Yeah,
chance.
And that feels like a missed opportunity.
They were above them. It was flipped not that long ago.
Exactly.
Where it was like 3 times as likely for Spurs. They've had 2 really shit results here.
Yeah, it's not great, but that's the Spurs roller coaster. It genuinely continues all the time, it seems.
Yes, I think the truth, if I can bring it back to the post-match press conferences, which is what I really feel passionate about and care about.
Yeah,
thank you. I think the true post-match press conferences are the ones where he's like, "These players are shit. I don't have the players to do anything good here. What do you want from me?"
Agreed.
And I think that when he says they're great, he's trying to big them up because, that's just what you do for people.
Keep the role going. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I just don't think they have enough good players, honestly. And that's not any shade at specific ones. It's all of them.
No. They've made good moves. Kulusevski, as we've said, we've already said it looks great.
If you look at the average, let's pretend for a second. I know, but go with me on this, listener. Let's pretend that FIFA ratings are an accurate reflection of player quality.
Yeah.
In real life, or such a number exists. Their average would just be a lot lower than like Arsenal's or Chelsea's or Liverpool, obviously Liverpool or City or United. Like they are the 6th most talented of those 6 teams on average.
Yeah. They're
one of the better run ones. I would say they're probably like 4th best run of those. 3rd best run, maybe. Probably.
That's
4th.
interesting because I don't know, until the new stadium and stuff like that, I think a lot of Spurs fans would have been not so happy with the running of the club. The stadium has put a sticking plaster over a lot. But
complaints. I also think that has been a huge hit on their finances, which is part of why they're at where they're at. Like the first point that I made.
It's a long term.
So once they start getting that back in to get all those really good players, I think they really poorly have mismanaged some major purchases. Obviously, the Gareth Bale one being the most notable of those. I think they were really dumb not to sell Kane last summer. Looking increasingly like they just burned £100 million there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Told you. And I just don't. I think that maybe they can get there. They showed ambition in getting Antonio Conte. I'll say that. He's at a higher level than their players are at.
And he's been superb for him. As I say, I enjoy the soap opera drama of the post matches, but make no mistake, he's been brilliant for them. Was a manager who felt like at the time a step above Spurs, as you're saying, you know, with the players as they are. So he's superb for them, and it's
if they keep him next year, I bet they can finish fourth. Am I willing to put my money actually down on a take here? Sure, why not? If they keep Antonio Conte for all of next season, I bet Spurs come in fourth.
I don't think that's a bad shout, because I think Man United are a year or two away.
Yep. Unless Ten Hag comes in and like really figures it out. They have such talented fucking players, man. They could be something. That's the thing about Man United that scares me. To go back to Man United for a second.
I don't know, when you see defenders swinging legs.
I'm more afraid of the lurking United than I am of Arsenal that is actually actualizing.
I think you're absolutely right with United within attacking talent, but I just feel like player discipline and stuff, it just sounds like it's shot. They just don't want to run for anyone. And you're getting a Ten Hag in, you ain't gonna have to run any less. I promise you, you're not going to have to run any less.
What they need is Antonio Conte. What they should have done was gotten him. He's terrifying. He kept Diego Costa in line. You're going to tell me he can't get that fucking Man United defense back into shape?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
They're so dumb. I hope they get Pochettino. Oh, God, I hope they get Pochettino. No, he's good. I don't know. I don't know if I want that. United scare me and confuse me.
Yeah, they are confusing. They are confusing, yeah. Okay, well, look, we'll wrap this up very quickly if you don't mind, because I am currently looking at Palace Leeds. It is 78 minutes, 0-0. Now, Leeds, is there any chance they get drug into this relegation scrap?
No.
I mean, are you sure? Because I felt like this Palace game here, and I could be embarrassed, obviously, if in the next 10 minutes they score, but I felt like this Palace game, they've got to win this, and they're not.
I don't know that they have to win. I think as long as they get a point out of this, they're right now they're at 18% pre this result. If they lose, the numbers aren't changing that much going forward. I think the model, I'm assuming, assumes that a Palace wins this game most of the time.
Do you think?
Yeah, of course. Palace's numbers have been great. We're avoiding Palace because it's like such a sore subject right now, but like they have just been one of the best teams in England across all of England.
The fourth best team, Chuck. The fourth best
team. Yeah. No, I mean, like, to put a specific number on it, let me scroll up. They have been the 7th best team in England this year. So it's the Big Six, and then Palace are the best team in England other than the Big Six. How's that for a sentence? Like, what the fuck?
Imagine saying such
They are the only other team than the Big Six with a positive expected goal difference per 90.
It's pretty tasty, isn't it?
It's pretty fucking crazy. So, of course, the model assumes that they're going to beat Leeds. So I don't think that 18% goes down that much even if they lose this. Certainly when they get another point, that's going to drop to, like, I don't know, 12%?
For the record, I don't want Leeds to go down. I
don't give a fuck about Leeds. They can go down. I don't fucking care one way or another.
Do you feel the Chelsea-Leeds rivalry at all, or is that just...
No, I know of it historically. Okay. Right? Like, they got... like, it was bad in the 80s when all, like, the gangs were a thing.
Yeah.
So I know of it. When I look back on my Chelsea fandom journey, I was just having this conversation with the good Dr. Emily the other day. I must have been such a terrible, terrible fan for the first, 5-6 years that I was a Chelsea fan, because I found the club as a half-drunk college kid at a sports bar with a bunch of London expats who taught me all the Chelsea Stadium songs. And that's really cool because that became part of the American soccer culture, and it is just part of that now.
Yeah.
So a lot of American soccer fans, if you go to the right sports bars, they know the songs from the stadium, and so they sing them all the match and all that. But that started because of these London expats in New York in 2005.
Yeah.
And now that I know so much more about England and so much more about Premier League, just the type of fan that would go and convince a bar to open at 7:30 a.m. so they could get drunk and sing stadium songs.
Yeah.
At a TV.
Yeah.
is pretty fucking intense. You know what I mean? And that's who I learned how to be a Chelsea fan from. So like the first like 5 years, I was just like drunk at pubs, singing the songs and like getting in fights with Leeds fans and Liverpool fans after the
Beautiful.
matches.
What a beautiful introduction to the beautiful
exactly.
game.
Not like real fights, well, a couple, but like, you know, just like, hey man, get out of my face. So like, I do kind of don't like Leeds because there was like one Leeds fan that would be at the bar and he would stand right on the edge. They would split us up to like the back of the bar was Chelsea fans, the front was Leeds fans or whatever. But like the most awful people would like sit in the middle of the bar. And he was a Leeds fan who was like always the closest to the Chelsea section as you could be and would like sing shit at us just like the whole match. So I have a like sore spot about Leeds because of that one specific person.
Part of me enjoys the fact that old, and I use the word old in the AULD, sort of old English rivalry has gone across the pond, and part of me quite likes that. Even though it's not necessarily the most pleasant of things to think about rivalry like that.
I just don't like thinking about me when I was like a proper football narrative, drunk at a bar, singing offensive songs fan.
No, I enjoy that. No.
Yeah, no. I'm very much not that anymore, and I'm really glad that I found my way towards analytics and like
we're glad to have you as you are now, Oscar.
A strong moral compass and all of that,
All of that, yeah.
All them things, because it's good to grow as people. Let's end the episode on that beautiful message.
Yeah, let's be
grow
good
as a
people.
person. Be less of an asshole. You're an asshole. I'm an asshole. Everyone's an asshole. The moment you can admit that you're an asshole and then start working on being less of an asshole, the better we'll all be.
What a beautiful message to end on. And I will end on that. We won't talk about fixtures because I can't do it the same way Chuck does. Chuck will be back soon. We love you, Chuck. And let's just leave this now by thanking our producers. They are Sam Danby, Nate Whittam, Mark Daffin, Johnny Worthington, Jeff Pedder, and Andy Penpraise, who is, of course, from Sutton, and apparently might be in some sort of trophy or playoff or something. I don't know. There's some sort of Sutton situation going on. And we love you all. Goodbye.
Bye.